There's information floating around that the car wasn't stolen. The car was, in fact, behind on payments. My God, my God, my God. If this is true, like I said, that's a false police report. That's a false claim. On top of, if that's true, this should open up a worldwide change to how dealerships, when it's reported that a car is behind on payments, instead of it being listed as stolen, it needs to say repo now, repo available, tow now, any mother other than stolen. Because police will approach the situation completely different. Okay? If a vehicle is stolen, police are approaching that vehicle with a different mindset. With a completely different mindset. And then you got 4 black men sitting in the car. They're going to lose their... They go into their car, they're approaching that car trigger happy. But if it says tow now or repo available, behind on payments, you can list it as anything outside of stolen. They would completely approach their car completely different. My God, you almost want to hope that that car was stolen and not behind on payments. Because if a dealership called in and said that their car was behind on payments and they listed it as stolen, the irony in it is Rodney Hinton. I would damn near compare that to Rodney King. When they say history repeat itself, I didn't think it was going to be like this. That's not a good look. Now let this be a learning lesson. Let this be a learning lesson moving forward. Change how shit is reported. If that's the case, that's not a good look.
You simple-minded motherfucker expects me to even take this 1% seriously without recognizing that in the missing car payment process, the first step is not to call the police. The first step is to say, hey, repo boy, go get this car and bring it back to this lot. Until they pay them payments, they not getting this back. You expect me to believe that they called the cops instead of calling the repo man off of 1, 2, or 3 car payments. You expect me to believe that they're not going to go through the process of getting that car back. They're just gonna go send the cops to kill some black kids. Okay, there's just like one problem. You did not give a fucking source for any of that. You pulled that bullshit thin air out of your ass. I don't know what part of your ass you pulled it out from, but you stretched real hard deep in there to dig it all out and make sure that anybody on social media can sit there and say, this actually could be something of note. This actually could be something of circumstance. This is something to actually consider. And this ain't the only dumbass who's parading this narrative around.
So you telling me that he didn't steal a car, he missed a car payment, and the company reported the car stolen. So he's not a thug. He just happened to be a little brokey broke for the moment. Ain't nobody steal no car. Ain't nobody steal no car. Bruh.
So more heartbreaking details have come out about the Rodney Hinton Jr. case. So the car was not stolen at all, right? He didn't steal a car. He did not commit a crime. The only thing that he did was miss a payment on his car, one single payment, and the car was reported as stolen by the lenders. So when police saw the car, they automatically assumed that it was a carjacking, and unfortunately they didn't give this young man time to explain himself and shot him in the back. You know, twisting reality, yeah. That's the reality, and it's the reality of many black men and women in America. And and you are very, very lucky that you don't get to experience that. I'm lucky that I don't get to experience that. I'm not in America, but I'm assuming you're white by, you know, the "you people" comment. it's very lucky that you've never had to experience or deal with things like this in your life. So yeah.
And my one question to each and every one of you motherfuckers that's gonna sit there and say, well, it's something to think about. Well, it's something to consider. Well, you just hate black people. You want to see black people die. You're trying to make white people feel invalidated to kill black people. Where the fuck was your source for this shit? Where did you get that from? Because at time standing, nobody has said anything even close to that. Nobody has verified a fucking thing out of anything you people have said. It's to the point where y'all are hoping that's the case. Because if you even get 1% of this dumbass fanatical story right, you're going to sit there and say, see, we were right about this. We were right about that. It proves my statements from when I was talking about Carmelo Anthony. You people don't care. You just want to spout some bullshit online for some likes, which is cool, but damn, go spout some takes about that bitch air frying crabs in a fucking air fryer. Go spit some takes about the DL whisperer. Go spit some takes about 100 men versus 100 women with accountability. Go talk about some shit that will be in your field. Talking about some shit that involve a police investigation is never going to be lucrative for any of y'all, because it seems to me that y'all want one outcome, which is black person the victim, everybody else is the perpetrator. And if you don't get that, we live in a racist society. But if you do get that, it speaks to power. How about how we're going to finally start changing as a society, even though we keep going through this fucking process every single day of every single week of every single month of every single year of every single decade of every single fucking century, because it seems like we don't get to a point of actually solving said issues. We just want to grandstand to our highest fucking degree. And the thing that's irking me is that there's going to be somebody who writes me this girthy ass paragraph about how I hate black people. Where's the source? Where did you get that from? Where did you dig any of that from? Because I know you got it from random people on social media. I know you probably got it off of Facebook. I know you got it in a means to sit there and say, well, I don't really like how they're painting this black boy that I don't know, so I'm just gonna create this story to make it seem like there's a presumed act of innocence, because who among us hasn't missed the car payment? Me, because I bought a used car, so I ain't gotta deal with none of that shit. Why? Because the allure of having a car that was made in 2025 and paying $2,000 a month, not really lucrative for me, not really beneficial to me financially. So I'm gonna stick with something a little bit used from 2011, maybe even 2012, so I could get from point A to point fucking B. And again, how the fuck am I supposed to sit here and rationalize that the car dealership is going to see 1, 2, maybe 3 missed payments and say, you know what, cops, go hunt them down? Because that don't make any fucking sense. That don't really comprende with me. And it don't really comprende with any of y'all, because y'all dancing around the subject matter of, oh, well, I had heard this, or well, I had heard that. Fuck what you heard. Source me something. That way I could truly believe this, because when y'all was running around saying this shit about Carmelo Anthony and about all these phantom police reports, the police and Carmelo Anthony's representatives had to sit there and say, shut the fuck up. Why? Because you motherfuckers were not doing anything to help Carmelo. You were doing it to hinder him, to actually put him in a bind to where he's got to explain extra shit past what he's already explained. And it is disastrous. I get it. Y'all believe in eye for an eye. Just stick with that dumbass logic, because when y'all try to inject your own fanatical fake fiction into these stories, y'all make them worse. And then when you don't get your fucking outcome, you sit there and say, oh, what about my story on Facebook? What about what I heard on Facebook? You don't actually fucking care. If you cared about Rodney Hinton and his son, you would actually just sit back, shut the fuck up, and wait. Whether if you waiting a week, a month, maybe a couple years, because seems like there's a lot of cases that happened in like 2020 that's getting addressed now, you would wait for more information to figure out how everything transpired and how everything went down, and we could get to a conclusion, but the fucking conclusion will come out with all the facts to back it, and you motherfuckers will sit there and say none of this is true. So damned if you do, damned if you don't. Here's the sick part, and we're gonna wrap this shit up like this. It's embarrassing how many fucking times a lot of people are dedicated to coming up with a lie because the truth is not really as acceptable in your made up reality. The likelihood that his kid stole a car is very high. high. The likelihood of him getting caught by the cops and starting to scatter is very fucking high. The only thing that I'm gonna sit here and say is based on evidence that needs to figure out if it's justified or not is if the kid had a gun and he pointed it at the officer. Because if he pointed it at the officer, guess what? The shooting was justified. If he didn't point it at the officer and he was just making too many fast movements and the body cam footage needs to get cleared up so that we could deduce that, guess what? I'm gonna say it's not justified and I'm gonna go on from there. Do I think it was a great idea to respond by killing a random officer? No, because while you motherfuckers are sitting there cheering him on saying eye for an eye, he's sitting in jail and he's getting somebody's fructose corn syrup and you not gonna do nothing about it. Oh, but I'm putting money on his books. Congratulations. You putting money on his ass so that when Big Tyrone get him, he gonna have a time of his life and he gonna throw the ones on him. Congratulations. You solved nothing and you're making it even fucking worse. Subscribe. Mwah. Goodbye.